Hello, everyone. Welcome to Insta Fame. Hang on one second. We're getting a little feedback. Okay. All right. If you guys hear feedback, let me know in the chat. All right. We are going to get started shortly. My name is Maura Hughes. I am the digital content manager here at MeetEdgar. I am so excited. Hi, Elsie. Hi, Keith. Yeah, if you are tuning in today while we're just getting settled the next couple minutes, pop into the chat and say hi. Let us know where you're joining in from. I really want you guys to be asking questions and hearing your thoughts as we do this. Mexico, oh, I bet that's way warmer. Illinois. Wow, you guys are from all over. I love this. Curacao, NYC. Beautiful, sunny California, UK, North Carolina. Awesome. Hello, hello, everyone. I'm so excited you guys could be here today. So we have Nancy in our chat right now. She is also with MeetEdgar. So if you guys have any questions during the chat while I'm explaining anything, be sure to pop it in. She'll be able to answer for you. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. But I want to... First of all, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I know you are busy. You've got tons going on. So I'm excited that everyone can be here today. And we're going to make this as fun and engaging and useful as possible. So we're going to get started because I have a lot to share with you guys. And hopefully you can see my screen. If you can't see our InstaFame screen, definitely let us know in the chat, but we're going to get started. So we have an hour together today. And really what's going to happen is I'm going to share the best tips and tricks that I have found lately that will help you grow your Instagram. I'm in charge of the MeetEdgar Instagram account. I also have a couple of side hustles like many of you do where I help other people grow their Instagram account. So I spend a lot of time studying this platform and spending time with it. And I only see a knitted octopus. Okay, you should see that. He is on our top. That's our Edgar, is our crochet. Adina, we do have sound. Let me guys know if you don't have any, if you guys can't hear anything. Adina, I would check your sound, your microphone, or your settings to make sure that you have the sound on. It's a little crazy on there. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Like I said, I love Instagram. I spend a lot of time in it, learning it, trying to figure out how to grow these pages as quickly and as organically and as authentically as possible. So that's what we're going to cover today. At the end of this, we're going to have a Q&A. So if you have questions about your specific Instagram or Instagram in general, we'll definitely answer them at the end of the webinar. Nancy's in the chat, so if you have something that you need to get answered right away, definitely pop it in there. Nancy will get to you. And we also have a special offer. If you are not an Edgar user, we definitely recommend hanging out until the end so you can get a chance to get the special offer. So Instagram, it used to be this fun, quirky, photo sharing site, and now it has over 500 million daily users. They go into Instagram every single day, and they're actually really engaged. So if you are already on Instagram, as I'm sure many of you are, you might realize that your engagement is probably better than what it is on your other social platforms. Engagement on Instagram is 10 times higher than Facebook. And there's a lot of studies that show people follow brands on Instagram. They search for products, they search for services, they want to connect with businesses on there. It's a golden opportunity for everyone on this webinar. Okay, I'm actually going to turn the camera on so you guys can. Hello, hello. Let's continue. Okay. Perfect. So if you have any problems, like I said, pop it into our chat. Nancy's going to get it for you. And we'll get started. So the first thing, we're covering 4 different things today. And really what it is your content, hashtags, stories, and engagement. All of these things are going to play really big into Instagram this year for 2019. So let's get started with one of the most important things, which is your content. I think that content is probably one of the toughest things people struggle with when it comes to what they're supposed to post. We get this question all the time. What do I post? How often do I post? I don't know what to say. So let's talk about this because no matter how many people you attract to your page, if you don't have great content, they're not going to stay and they're not going to engage. So if you've been on an Edgar webinar before, you probably know that we suggest using categories, and we suggest this for all of our social platforms as well as Instagram. So what categories are, it's basically splitting up what you talk about into topics or themes. So we'll just pop right over and you can see the screen. You can see some of our categories, and it's just how we separate what we talk about at Edgar. No matter what you do, you are going to have some type of certain niche that you talk about, and there's probably a couple things that fall in there. So like if you're a health coach, you're probably not just talking about your health coach services. You're also talking about recipes, or maybe you're sharing your favorite exercise tips or some inspirational quotes. Maybe you share your adorable pet dog who's your office mate every day. These will make up your different categories. If you're a marketing consultant, let's say you share social media tips or your latest blogs or your love of coffee. So all of these are different things that explain who you are as a business, as a brand, and as a content creator. And they're all important on Instagram. This is the basis of your categories, you guys. And you know, one of the best things that I think is great about Instagram, especially when you're creating your categories and thinking about the content you want to share, is it doesn't have to be directly related to your business, especially if you're a solopreneur or a freelancer or your business is really small. You can share about you. Like I said, you know, your dog might not be part of your business, but it is part of you. And Instagram's community oriented. People want to know who you are, the person behind the brand, the person behind the business. So when you think about your categories and you think about the different things you want to share, don't be afraid to throw that in there. Don't be afraid to share that side of your personality. So putting your different topics into categories makes for a really balanced feed. What it does is your content will entertain, it will engage, it will inform, and that is really a well-rounded Instagram. No one wants you to be selling all the time, and no one wants you to be posting all over the place that they don't really know what your business is about. You need to have that even balance, and categories is a really easy way to do that. Oops, lost you guys for a second. So if you have had a Instagram account for a while and maybe you share a lot of different things in there and you have no idea like what is your most important categories or what are your content, like what is your topics, then you definitely want to go into your insights and look at which content is most engaging. So I did this for the MeetEdgar account. What I did, if you have a business profile, and all of you guys should have business profiles, I really recommend it. If you're using Instagram for business, please get the business profile. You want to go into your insights and understand like what types of content you have. So you can click on the insights, as you can see, and then click your content and sort by engagement. So in the picture, I did it for 7 days, but I did this for the entire year of 2018 at MeetEdgar. And what I found really surprised me. So what ended up happening is I noticed that all of our posts with our little crochet Edgar, like I had on the front page, that they were doing really well. And I had never thought of that before, but our audience was really into those images. So going into 2019, I'm using what I learned in our insights to put them back into our categories. So that's just one way you can kind of look at your content and figure out where your categories lie or what your audience is really into. Definitely use that insights button. Like I said, you can break it down into a week or a month or a year. It's really powerful, and you can really see like what types of content is most engaging. So let's talk about, now, you guys, I don't want you to stress about your categories If you don't know what they are, spend some time getting to know your business, spend some time thinking about it. If you do, pop them into the chat, maybe give some people some ideas. We can definitely talk about it in Q&A, but breaking up your content into categories makes it really easy to create it and to keep consistent with it. So now that you kind of know your categories, or you're starting to think about them a little, the different things you want to share on Instagram, let's talk about one of the biggest things that can be very tricky and kind of scares people a little bit when it comes to Instagram. It's the visual identity of your page. Instagram was built to be visual. It's a photo sharing site. And no matter what you do or what your business is, even if you're a copywriter, you're gonna have to find ways to visually get that across on Instagram. And it can feel really stressful if you're not a designer or if you're not a photographer. It can be really easy to overthink this. Design's not my background either, guys. So I definitely understand like the stress of having a beautiful Instagram page. But I'm about to walk you through a couple of really easy, really simple things you can do to your page that will make it look very cohesive, very clean, very professional, and really engaging and appealing to users. My caveat is, simple is going to be best with this. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't start throwing a bunch of things in there. Keep it really simple, especially for the first few weeks as you're getting your feed cleaned up. And you'll be able to see in a really short amount of time how powerful it can be just to stick to a couple of these things. So here's how you can get your visual identity on track with Instagram. Oops. Your first is to use the same filter on every single photo. This is the easiest. If you're busy, you don't like Instagram, if you are just really trying to find the fastest way to get your feed together, to get more followers, start with picking your filter and using it on every single post. 60% of the top brands do this, okay? So we do it at MeetEdgar. There's tons of filters in Instagram. They're beautiful. If you take lots of different photos and you're not sure how to pull it all together, choose your filter. I would say look at the filter and think about the feeling of your brand. So at MeetEdgar, we have a calmer, a cooler tone. We're more relaxing. We like to talk about how you have free time when you use Edgar. And our colors are really bluish and greenish, for the ocean. So we use the Clarendon filter because it really highlights and brightens up those, gives us a lighter look. But if you're like a life coach who wants to motivate people to live their best lives, then maybe you want to use a bolder filter, like the Juno. That intensifies colors. Just whatever filter you really love, stick to it. Just choose one, keep it consistent, and commit to it for at least a couple weeks, maybe a month or two. The next option is to create a grid layout. Grid layouts can take a really cluttered and messy looking Instagram and make it look really beautiful. This one is alternating. It's really nice if you have photos and quotes. I work with a restaurant sometimes and we alternate food and drinks. So, it's a clean way just to clean up your page a little bit and make it look nicer. Another option is to go diagonal. So if you see in this, on the screen in this example, she goes diagonally by colors. So she's got her hot pink, her light pink, her purple. She's got some white in there. And you can see, even though it's really varied, there's still a pattern to it. Same thing with vertical. You could do a vertical grid and, share things straight down. It's another way. Or you could use borders. Borders are really nice because they create some white space. And again, it just cleans up your feed so much. The last thing you could do if you feel like your feed needs some spring cleaning and you want to make it look a little more professional and branded is to use colors. I gave you guys 3 examples here because using 2 to 3 colors, if you start paying attention to Instagram a lot more, you'll see that most of the bigger pages do this. They've really stuck to their color palettes. And what's nice is you don't have to use the colors in every single post. You can just really try and get it in every single row. Like if you look at Ritual, which is all the way on the left here of our screen, you can see that there's a couple of photos here, the one with Lady Gaga, the one with the sign with the blue sky, where yellow is not the dominant color, but it still works on their feed because it's surrounded by other yellow focused photos. So that's just one way that you can really pull together your feed. Being Boss Club, which is in the middle, they use pink and blue and white. This is nice because they actually create like a layer overtone. If you have a Canva or if you know a designer, they can kind of create this. Another way I've seen people use this is they'll use borders, like right at the bottom of every, or bottom and top of every photo will be their brand colors. And it cleans up the feed and it just makes it look so clear and organized. This last one over here is Stella. I wanted to throw her in there as just a way to use colors because she uses a few similar colors that in lots of different ways. So as you can see, she's got some brown and some orange and some white in there. It's really like earthy, natural vibe. And she uses these in every single one of her posts, and it pulls her feed together so that it doesn't look exactly uniform, but it gives a good impression and you kind of understand like what to expect from her feed, because you want people to be able to understand what they can expect from your social sites. So if you don't know what your core colors are, there's actually an app. It's called My Insta Palette, and it will pull the dominant colors out of your feed. So if you already have an Instagram feed and you feel like you've been like putting up a lot of good stuff, but you're not really sure what the colors are, put into My Insta Palette and it'll be able to kind of pull it out for you, and you'll be able to naturally find the colors that work with your brand or the photos that you share. So one of the questions I get before you jump into this cleaning up your feed and immediately making it visually beautiful is, you know, whether or not you should delete everything that you have or you should just start from scratch. And I would say don't start from scratch, just start right now. You don't need to delete anything. You don't need to archive any of your photos. Just start, and within a couple of weeks, the more you put in photos, the more your feed's going to come together, and you know the older stuff will get pushed down. So don't worry about starting from scratch. Just start. So those are really the two things that I want you guys to think about: is what types of content, what categories can you create. 4 to 5 is the best. You know, you could do 3, you get away with that. And then how you want your feed to look visually. Hang on one second. Elaine has a question. How do you organize your feed when, oh, okay. So Elaine asked a question and I'm going to answer it right now. So how do you organize your feed when Edgar's posting for you? So one of the ways I do it is in our recurring schedule, I make sure that the recurring schedule fits into whatever the feed is, right? So let's say in the recurring schedule, I know, like, we'll take my restaurant client. I know I do food and I know I do drinks. I just make sure that when I set up the categories in my recurring schedule that they rotate so that it's always going one over the next. That's the nice thing about Edgar is if you put in your categories, like let's say, you know, you're going to have a quote category. Okay, well then you know your quote category will be the white and you're alternating. So just make sure you have a quote every other category when you post. And you can see that in the calendar in the recurring schedule. So it's just something to think about. When you create your categories, you could also create like blue, Instagram blue, you know, and then have it Instagram yellow and then rotate it like that. So if that doesn't answer your question, Elaine, I can definitely clear it up more in the Q&A, but it's really just kind of creating those categories and making those categories fit your visual feed. So moving on, basically I really want to challenge you guys to take whatever you choose, whatever categories you choose, what other color scheme or filter you choose, and just like stick to it. Stick to it for 1 to 2 months and see what happens with your engagement, with your followers, with how your feed looks. You might be surprised. It might seem really small or might seem really basic, but this is the foundation of Instagram. And like I said before, everything I'm going to talk about next is how you reach more people and bring them to your page. But they're not going to click follow if this isn't really on point. So no matter what you do on Instagram, if your page doesn't look clean, you might struggle. Okay, so we're going to talk about probably my favorite topic. This is going to be really big for 2019, guys, And it's stories, Instagram stories. I love Instagram stories. I could talk about them all day long. We don't have time right now, so I'm not going to get into it. If you want an Instagram story webinar, let me know. But we'll cover the basics as quickly as possible right now. Experts are predicting that the Instagram stories are going to surpass the feed, which means more people are going to be finding you and engaging with you through your stories than through the actual feed. So that's exciting. And it should take a little pressure off of you guys from finding that perfect photo or fitting something into the grid. If you have something you really want to share, you can share it in your Instagram story. They last for 24 hours. You can save them to your profile if it's something really important. And they give an open look into your business and your brand and what you do. They are more authentic, they're more transparent, and they're really, really fun to do. So there's not a ton of research yet on how many stories or how often you should be posting stories. Lots of brands will do 10 stories a day. You're a solopreneur or a side hustler, so you could probably get away with like a few stories a week, maybe 1 to 2. They last for 24 hours, guys. So like you have 24 hours of content that's up there when you get one up. So, you know, try just experimenting with 1 or 2. And the question I get a lot when I start talking about stories is like, well, what do I post to my stories? You know, my day's kind of boring. I'm just sitting in front of a computer all day. What should I share? The answer is anything and everything, to be honest with you. Behind the scenes is probably one of the most popular stories. You could do your book recommendations or what you had for breakfast. You know, trust me, people are curious about the person behind the brand and they're going to want to know. Videos with Q&As do really well. Announce your sales or your blog post or your webinars, new products, all of that stuff can go into stories. There's trivia and quizzes. That's really fun if you use the sticker, the question sticker. User-generated content. We'll talk more about how you can share that a little bit later on. Or you can share other people's content. I learned this from a Twitter friend of mine, but if you like someone else's blog or you like someone else's post, you could share it in their story and build a little bit of, you know, relationships and maybe even create a stronger community on your Instagram. It's a fun way to do it. There's 2 ways that I really like using stories that maybe if you're a little scared or a little nervous about using them, that you might want to start off testing them. And then we'll talk about how you can reach more people with them. So the first thing is doing really quick video stories, 15 to 30 seconds, just chatting about something that's going on. We use these a lot for when we have announcements at MeetEdgar. So we'll, you know, announce our blog post, or when we announce our webinar, we went into our story. You can create a video and put it up there. Like I said, it's 15 to 30 seconds. You could do a minute. Instagram lets you do up to 3 minutes, but it's really engaging and it's really authentic. And your audience gets to see you, which is what they want. One trick I've learned, if you do use videos in your stories, ask people to send you a DM for more information. So if I'm talking about a webinar, like I have the past couple of days, or a blog post, I'll jump in, I'll kind of give the highlights, and then I'll say, you want to know more, DM me, and I'll send you the link. That way you open up a one-on-one communication with one of your followers. If you don't have 10,000 followers, like we don't, you can't include a link, but if they DM you, you can send it to them, and then you can actually follow back up with them and say, hey, I sent you the link to our blog post, just wanted to check, did you have a chance to read it? Do you have any questions on it? I loved writing this because X, Y, and Z. It's a great way to really get engagement from your stories. Ask for DMs. You'd be surprised. A lot of people respond to them, and it's just a fun way to, you know, build that community a little bit stronger. And, you know, it's easy to consume content and it's really authentic. More people are watching videos these days. They want to be consuming videos. And when you do a quick 15-second story on your Instagram, you're fitting right in with all of those trends. So the second way that I love to use stories is to call attention back to our feed. I don't know why my images didn't show. So really, when you have an Instagram on a post on your page, and I did have pictures for this, but they didn't come through for some reason. Sorry about that. But if you want to share a post from your Instagram onto your story, this is how you do it. There's a little airplane on your phone. Right under your post, you'll see the comment, the like, the comment, and then there's a little airplane. If you click that airplane, then that will be, you can put that post on your story. So you can do that with your own stories, or you can do that with someone else's post. If someone posted about your brand, or someone shared a photo of you, you can actually share that onto your story. And what happens in the story, if someone clicks the post, they will be able to go and actually see the post on your feed. So if you want people to like go to your feed more often, or if you have something that's like a little bit longer that you want to explain to them, put it back into your story, because more and more people are watching stories these days. So it's a better way to get eyeballs on your post. Like I said, I had photos for this and I don't know why they didn't go through, but I'll make sure that we get a blog post that shares all about it up pretty soon. So, stories. If you want people to find you through stories, we already know that they're really good for engaging your current followers. You can ask for DMs in them. You can drive people back to your own posts through them. But if you want to actually reach new people, then I recommend using all of the features that are around for stories. You want your stories to be engaging, and Instagram makes it really easy to do that. So things like hashtag, when you use a hashtag in your story, you can show up in the hashtag search. So other people who are using that hashtag, they can find you when they're looking at the story for that specific hashtag. You see in the example, we use the hashtag entrepreneur life, which means that my story will show up in the entrepreneur life story. And if other people aren't following me, they could still see me and they might get curious and click over to the MeetEdgar account. Locations are also a great way. If you are a local business, please use your location. Please use it in your story. It's very important. It's a great way to get found. You know, use all the gifts and stickers, like make your story fun and exciting. I love, you know, you can put sound in, you can put music, you can really dress up your stories so that they're fun and people want to stay on there and want to read more and want to learn more. All right. So, oh, and the polls sticker, just one more thing on this, on the polls. Use that for market research. If you really don't know what to share on your story, put up a story and ask it in a poll. Would you rather see behind the scenes, or would you rather learn tips? Would you rather see a photo or a video? You know, anything that you're trying to decide on, you know, should I write a blog about this or this? Should I do a podcast about this or this? Put it up in a poll. People love polls and they will answer them, and you will be able to get really better understanding of your audience, more engagement on your Instagram, and you could even reach new people who will end up voting on the poll. When I put this poll up, I got people from the entrepreneur life, and I got them to vote on the poll. So it was people who weren't even following us, but they could end up following us, and I know how they want to consume content. All right. Finally, make sure you're always checking your analytics on your Instagram stories. I gave some screenshots right there of what that looks like. So if you've never used a story before, or you're just starting to use them, you can always check your analytics, and you can check them at any time, even after the story's over. Just click on the little icon on the bottom left-hand corner where it shows the people who've seen it. If you click on that, it'll bring you to a page that has a bar graph, and then you can also click on the little eyeball icons, as you can see. The bar graph will show you your engagement, your reach, if you've got new followers from this story. As you can see in the example, you know, we had some profile visits, we had some website clicks through the specific story that we put up, shows you the impressions. And then if you click the little eyeball, you'll be able to see everyone who looked at your story. And then if you use a location or a hashtag, you'll be able to see if someone viewed it from that specific story. So those are usually people who don't follow you. It's a great way to test hashtags. It's a great way to see if people in your specific location are finding you on Instagram. And you should just always be checking your analytics no matter what you're doing. All right, so that's stories. If you have not started using them, please do. If you have, maybe let us know in the chat how you like to use stories. and we can learn a little bit more. So we're going to move on to hashtags. There was a study that was done last year that said 70% of Instagram posts don't get seen. This was early last year, and it's probably changed a little bit because the algorithms changed, but that's the nature of social media. Things move fast, and we cannot always guarantee that what you post will be seen right away or even at all. And hashtags are something that actually get you seen and can reach more people. You should be using hashtags in all of your posts, but you need to find the right ones. Follow for follow worked like 4 years ago, but it's a pretty quick way to get a lot of spam now. So you want to be doing some hashtag research. You want to be making sure that you're using the hashtags that your audience uses and that the people you want to follow you actually look at, and that the content matches the content you share. So one way you can start building, so I always recommend having hashtag lists. For MeetEdgar, we have a list of 30 hashtags that we use on almost every single post. I mix them up. I don't put all 30. Instagram has a limit of 30 hashtags per post. You don't really have to do that many. Some people say 5 or 6 is the best. Some people say 11 is the best. It kind of depends on like your audience and what works for them. So when you're looking for hashtags, what I always suggest is come up with a big group of them, maybe 30, maybe 50, that are related to your niche. So it helps to start with one, right? If you're a New York City business, put New York City salon in. And then what'll happen is you'll see related hashtags. When you search, when you use the Instagram search and you search in the hashtags, it'll give you related hashtags. You'll be able to see how many people post with that specific hashtag, and the top post with that hashtag, and other related hashtags. So it's really easy to start building your list very quickly. This really should only take like 30 minutes tops for you to find 30 hashtags, because Instagram makes it really easy for you to find hashtags. You can look at your competitors to see what hashtags they use. You can also look at your audience to see what hashtags they use in their post, and can help you build that list that you're going to use in your posts. I recommend having a mix of hashtags, some that maybe reach millions of people and some that reach maybe hundreds of thousands, or some that reach maybe 10,000 people. There's all these varying degrees, and I think you should have a mix of everything. If you have smaller hashtags, you probably will get found a little bit better. When you have a bigger hashtag, you probably end up getting found by more people. So it's a balance, and I encourage you guys to balance your hashtags and to measure them. So when you're looking for hashtags, Instagram has really cracked down in the last few years of what hashtags they like people to use, and how you can use them, because people can spam you. So you want to make sure that you're using the right hashtags. Make sure when you're searching for your hashtags to create your hashtag list, that you look at both the top and the recent photos. So some hashtags might have like a lot of recent photos, but they're all from the same person because someone stole that hashtag and it's gone crazy. Some haven't been posted for months, so you might not want to use those hashtags, right? Like just because it has 100,000 posts doesn't mean anyone's used it in over a year. So that's something you should be looking for when you're doing your hashtag research. Do the comments look like they're from real people, or are they just bots? Are there posts from just a few people, or is lots of people using the hashtag? Just spend a few minutes on every single one. So what I do when I use hashtags for any account that I'm creating is I mix up the hashtags. So we have 30, and I probably use 8 or 9 on every post, and I mix them up in, to 4 different groups, 5 different groups. And that way you're consistently reaching different audiences. So you're not just reaching the hashtag entrepreneur audience. You're also reaching hashtag entrepreneur and hashtag female entrepreneur and hashtag women in business. You're like reaching all these different audiences with all your different posts. You also want to make sure that your hashtags match your posts, which is another reason I suggest splitting them up. Like if you use quotes, then you might want to use like inspirational quote hashtag, but that wouldn't work for all of your posts. So have a couple of different hashtag groups and just rotate through them. Makes it really easy. I save them in my notes. They're super quick to catch up with. I also recommend really measuring your hashtags. So you can see this, there's a little insights button at the bottom of every single post. If you click that insights button, it will show you your profile visits, the website clicks. It will show you how many people you reached, if some of those people were following you. And if you can see under impressions, it shows how many impressions you had from hashtags. If your hashtags are not working, then it's time to switch them up. So, look at, if you already use hashtags, maybe look at the last few posts that you have to see if you're bringing any new impressions from your hashtags. Because if you're not getting impressions from those hashtags, you should switch up your strategy. All right, this is our last piece, and then we'll go into Q&A and I'll answer all the questions you guys have. Hopefully, you'll create a hashtag list like I just suggested, and you will start using it in your post. The second piece of this is you should be using these hashtags to engage. Engaging is the most important part, one of the most important parts at least, of social media. This is a social site, guys. You want to be engaging. You want to be connecting and meeting new people. Hashtags help you reach new people. Engagement helps you engage with them. If you created a hashtag list, like you will, because you want people to find your post, then you can use that hashtag list to go on and find other people and also to get more visibility for your profile. So I don't recommend using bots for this. I do this, and it does not have to take a long time. I know it scares a lot of people when they think about engaging on Instagram because it could take forever or they'll fall down an Instagram black hole. It doesn't have to be like that. So what I do is I take our list of 30 hashtags that I have for MeetEdgar, and I go through 3 or 4 a day. I'll type in, solopreneur is a big hashtag we use. So I'll type in the solopreneur hashtag, and I go through and I probably like 20 to 30 posts on there. And then I go through and I comment on maybe 10 to 15 posts on the recent and sometimes on the top feeds. Then I'll do that for the savvy business owner hashtag. I'll do the same thing. Every time I do this, for every single account, if I do this for a week or 2, I will start seeing more follows, more engagement, more impressions. Every metric goes up. It's not being spammy if you're taking your time to actually read the captions. It's why I only say only comment on 10. It doesn't take that long. This takes me about 30 minutes a day for each account that I manage. So for you, it'll take you 30 minutes a day. I split it up into 10 minutes because this is how you don't get stuck into just scrolling on Instagram. That's why I always suggest doing hashtags, because if you just end up scrolling through your feed, you'll just be scrolling through your feed forever. So give yourself a limit. Maybe 3 to 4 is too much for you. Maybe 20 posts is too many to like. Then say, okay, I'm going to go through 1 hashtag a day. I'm going to like 10 posts. I'm going to comment on 10 posts. Give yourself those parameters, and you will be able to make this go a lot faster, and you won't get stuck just falling into an Instagram black hole. Do this every single day, 5 days a week. I know it seems like a lot, especially because you're busy and you don't have a ton of time, but it doesn't have to take that long. Like I said, split it up into 10 minutes. I do this when I'm on the bus. I do this when I'm waiting for a metro. I'll do this while I'm waiting for something to cook in my oven. And you will see growth from it. I have an account. We've been doing this for the last 6 weeks. We are going 100 to 200 followers a day. Followers that stick around, not follow, unfollow, but people who actually stick around because we've spent a lot of time creating that feed. Now we're bringing people to the feed. Every time you engage, you have that potential of reaching someone, of being seen in someone else's post in their comment section that might attract them back to you. So really, really spend some time engaging. My other challenge to you is to find 1 new account a week that you like. 1 new account, that's it. Like their post, comment on their post. you know, maybe you can give them a follow. But this is where the Instagram piece, it's where people don't really want to spend their time. But if you have taken the time to plan out your content, if you know the visual look of your feed and you've scheduled that into your scheduling tool, Edgar, and you've created your hashtags that you're using in every post, you're actually going to have a lot more free time to engage and to respond to comments, to reply to other people's comments. And that's when you start seeing that growth. That's when you start seeing things like start really picking up if you're just really strategic about it. So let's say, how does Edgar help with this? Edgar is a scheduling tool. It's a social media scheduling tool. We schedule Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of your posts. And when you plan out your content and put it into a scheduling tool, you save yourself time from having to think of content every single day. If you're able to get ahead a little bit and get a strategy together, you know your categories, you know your visual look of your feed, and you have it scheduled into your tool, then you're saving yourself a lot of time where you can be doing hashtag strategy work, you can be doing engagement work, and those are all the things that will build up your feed. So Edgar, I created all of our Edgar content in January, and I did one afternoon, I created all of our content, and it's been amazing. And we have seen so much growth since I scheduled everything, because I'm actually able to be present on our feed and engage with other people and find new accounts and find new hashtags. So using a scheduling tool like Edgar will be the key to your success. And we're going to get to Q&A, but if you are new to Edgar, if you've never tried us before, we have a 2-week trial right now. And if you decide that we're the tool for you before January 31st, which is next week, you'll get the first 3 months, you'll get half off the first 3 months of Edgar. So that means you could spend the next week doing all these things that I just talked about, figuring out the visual look of your feed, identifying your content categories, getting together your hashtag list. You could put all that into Edgar, and then you can spend the next 3 months watching massive growth of your accounts, because you'll be able to engage, because everything's already in Edgar, because you already know and are clear of how you're moving forward, of what stories you're using, of how you're reaching people, because you're checking your insights and your analytics. So sign up for the 2-week trial if you haven't yet. And if you have any questions before January 31st or after, we're happy to answer them. This deal will be gone in a week though. So if you want to get half off for the first 3 months and like knock out the first quarter of the year and like be a boss on Instagram, then now is the time to do it. All right, so I covered a lot in a very short amount of time, and I hope you guys are with me. So we're gonna start taking some questions. All right, so I'm gonna go with the first question that I see in the box, which is from Yolanda, which says, when first starting your Instagram feed, how many posts should you perform in a day before setting into your normal schedule? So what I would tell you is just to like get started. You don't have to, I know it can be like hard if you're like, oh, I don't have anything on my feed, but just get started finding that regular rhythm, Yolanda, of whatever it is. Find that normal schedule. And then if you can keep that normal schedule going, then your feed's going to populate and you're going to have time to engage with other people. Like, don't worry about putting 20 posts up. Just start with 1 post. That's all you need to get started. So yeah, you don't need to put up a bunch of posts. I would say get your regular schedule together and then keep it consistent. Consistency is the best. If you come up really strong and people are going to think you're going to have like 20 posts a day, then you're kind of messing with your audience and they're not going to understand. Okay, Sabrina asked, I'm a little confused about how posting on Instagram through Edgar works. Do I have to post from my phone or can I schedule? You can schedule through the website, Sabrina. So when you schedule on Instagram on Edgar, you can do it through our website. And then what will happen is you'll get a notification to your phone when it's time to post. and then it will automatically copy, and you'll be able to post from the app. So you can do it on your computer. Elsie asked, how often do we have to post per week? Elsie, so this is going to depend on your audience and what works best with your schedule. So my recommendation is to look at when your audience is active, and you can do that in the Insights button. You'll be able to see the days and the hours that they're most active, and figure and post from there, right? So I know that if no one's on Sunday mornings, then I don't really post on Sundays, but I usually post through the week. So really getting an understanding of when your audience is on is the best for figuring out, hey, this is how often we post. Tim said, even with Edgar, you still have to be, yes. So right now, you have to get a notification for Edgar in order to post. So what that means is we'll send you a notification and you'll hop on and post. The reason this is because Instagram's API is closed right now. As soon as they open it up, we'll be able to do direct posting, and we are just waiting on them to open it up. I will tell you, as a social media manager, when I get that notification to post for Edgar, it serves as my reminder to go in and engage a little bit. So when I post on any of the accounts that I manage through Edgar, I will spend 5 to 10 minutes engaging, and it helps me be really present in Instagram. It's one of the things I like. Okay. Okay. So do you have any resources for the photos to use? Sabrina asked. Unsplash is a great one. Pixabay, Pixabay is another good one. Canva, if you use Canva, you do have to pay for some tools. Pexels, Pexels. There is one more. We have a link for this actually, and I will be able to share the link. But Pexels StockSnap is another good one. So StockSnap.io, Unsplash, Pixabay, Pexels, they're all free photo sites that you can use for your Instagram. When you're doing hashtag research, do you do it on your phone or on your desktop? I've done it with both, Gail. So you can log on to Instagram through the web browser. Sometimes that's a little easier because like when I'm staring at my phone, my eyes tend to like get crazy, and you can search for hashtags through there. It works the same way. So you can do either your phone or your desktop when you're doing your hashtag research. Please have them add a hashtag counter. Great, Oxley. We will definitely have them try to do that. To keep a lot of followers over a period of time. I'm trying to promote Delore Lutz. So you asked, I'm trying to promote my latest books. Why would I want to keep a lot of followers over a period of time? Well, you want followers because they're part of your community. So if they've liked your past books, then they're going to probably like your future books. And they're supporting you no matter what. So I think that you would want to keep the followers that you have as well as continue growing your followers. Let me know if I answered that question for you, Delore. All right. Yeti says that she used Pixabay for photos. Those are good ones. Elsie, I can see the account I use to post my website content to post on Instagram. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Elsie. If you can just clarify, you can use the same account to post your website content to post on Instagram. Do you mean from Edgar? Joel asked, can you elaborate more on choosing categories? Absolutely, Joel. So as a business owner or brand or content creator or blogger, you probably have a niche, right? And hop in, Joel, and like let me know like what your niche is. But no matter what that niche is, you probably talk about a couple of different things. So Edgar is a social media scheduler, but we don't just talk about social media because we know our audience is entrepreneurs, bloggers, solopreneurs, small businesses. So we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, productivity, because Edgar saves you time. You know, those are the different categories. You could do the same thing, like if you are like a store and you sell, you know, you're an Etsy store. Okay, well, you can talk about your products, but then also think about like your audience and what they use your products for. Or, you know, if they use it for gifts, maybe you can share like gift ideas or holiday, you know, ideas. So I think just thinking of like what your audience is really into and how that corresponds with what you do or what you share. I know like my accountant doesn't just share like accounting tips. She shares a lot of accounting tips, but she also shares like a little bit about her because she's a solopreneur who works with other freelancers and small business owners. So she likes to share that type of stuff. She shares tax stuff. She shares, you know, just regular budgeting tips because all those kind of overlay into what she does. Let me know if you need more insight into that, Joel, or like let me know kind of what your industry is and we can brainstorm some ideas. Tim asked, do you schedule repeats of the same post on Instagram or do you make each post unique? I actually schedule repeats because for a couple of reasons. There's two ways I schedule repeats. One is if we're promoting something like this webinar, I'll use the same graphic over and over. Not everyone sees your feed, like we've already said. And, you know, if I can make it fit into we use the same filter. So if I have it fit into the same filter, I'm reminding people of our webinar. When I work for restaurants, if they have a recurring monthly happy hour, then I share that over a few times. Also, when I do stories, I use the same graphic for our blog posts a lot of the time, and I just decorate it in different ways with different stickers or different GIFs or emojis to kind of dress it up. But if it's a new blog post, it's usually just a new blog post graphic. Stories are a good way to recycle your post because they disappear after 24 hours. So it's one thing, like I just dump everything into Edgar and then it kind of pulls a few different graphics. I will share that link. If you are completely new, Jessica, I will get to your question in a second, but share out, if you are completely new to Instagram, 0 followers a post, is there any advantage starting fresh that I have or tips to jumpstart? Absolutely. If you are brand new, hook it up to your Facebook page because Instagram will usually tell people if they're friends with you on Facebook that you've had it, like they have a new follower. So you'll be able to start getting like pretty quick followers from that. I would go in and follow a lot of people as soon as you get your Instagram. Go in and follow a lot of people you know, a lot of brands that you look at. If you know your audience is already on there, start following them. And what you want to do with you're in a great place here because you can actually plan in advance, right? So like get your strategy really clear and then schedule things in advance and then spend a ton of time engaging. You know, you might just put up a post that says you're new, but if you start engaging and getting ahead of it, you'll be able to start picking up people really quickly. And also kind of share on your other social sites. If you have other social sites, if you have a Facebook or a Twitter or a website, share that you're on Instagram now. Make sure it's linked everywhere. And that will help drive your other people to your Instagram. Okay, Jessica, so Nancy has answered our question. So some of the differences between Edgar and Hootsuite was what we were asked. Our library doesn't get deleted. So unlike when you post in Hootsuite and then it's gone, yours will stay in your library so you can recycle it later, which is really helpful because not everyone sees your post the first time around. We also have auto variations, which means Edgar actually helps you write your post. It's very, very cool. It's very helpful. If you put in a website or a landing page, Edgar pulls key phrases and writes it for you. And we have, you know, auto publishing, which means with a recurring schedule that your content keeps being published on that schedule. Joel, t-shirt designer that's trying to shift from email marketing to Instagram. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, great. So you can share your t-shirt designs, you could share user-generated content of people who wear your, so user-generated content who wear your t-shirts, your designs. I think maybe it depends on what you put on like the design, but if it's like quotes, you could use quotes, or if it's like lots of graphics, and maybe you could find like some graphics that are very similar and you could do themes around that. What other things can you post? You know, think about who that audience is. Like if you share, if you create t-shirts for, you know, college age guys, then, okay, what are those college age guys into that maybe you can share? It's all about with your content, think about what your audience is into and also what you share, and how that overlaps, what they would be interested in. I mean, if he's a designer, then design stuff is really cool. And there's a ton of designers on Instagram who might be interested in like how he designs his t-shirts. So you could have design tips, or like behind the scenes of how he creates his designs could be one of your categories. So like product post, user-generated content, behind the scenes of how he creates his designs, and then maybe just like a fun personal share from him if they are a smaller shop, or they want to share like what's going on when they design those, or just some ideas for the different categories you can create, Joel. Delora, okay. Explanation of what you mean by stories. Okay, Instagram stories. Instagram stories are quick snapshots that Instagram allows you to share now that aren't on the feed. So your Instagram feed is that profile that you have. And your story it lasts 24 hours and it disappears after 24 hours. And you can loop a few of them together. So you could have a couple of different like quick images that you wrap together and people will watch your stories. You could also do a video. So basically the difference is it doesn't live on your feed and it disappears after 24 hours, which makes them really short, easy to consume. There's a high sense of urgency. Stacy asked, when just getting started, is it better to post twice a week with your own images or more frequently with stock images padding in, especially if you're service-based? I would say, Stacy, that it's more than okay to use stock images, especially if you're service-based. I think that frequency, I would definitely look at your insights. You might not have any yet because you haven't gotten started, but posting more than twice a week probably with stock images is going to be the best way to go for you, because it'll give you just like a broader content. Just make sure those stock images like reflect your brand. They're not random. They match your scheme, all that good stuff. Sherrod asked, what's the best way to collect user-generated content? Great question, guys. We didn't cover user-generated content. We're going to have a whole nother webinar on this, aren't we? User-generated content is content for your brand that's generated by your users. One way to do it is to use a branded hashtag and ask people to share it. So, you know, MeetEdgar, hashtag MeetEdgar would be one of ours. Starbucks is really good at this. They have a hashtag Starbucks. So ask people to start sharing theirs using the hashtag. You can reward people who share their user-generated content, whether it's by sending them a gift card or, you know, giving them a shout out, sending them some free product. That's another great way. I think, you know, asking goes a long way. And so if you're constantly putting out a message like, hey, we love seeing your photos, then they're going to start giving them back to you. Sometimes just sending an email. I know when I don't know what your business is, Shara, but like when I send out like products for e-commerce companies I've worked with, like including a little tag that says, share us on Instagram with the hashtag, like that works because people are so excited to like have their new product. All right, Nancy is killing it. I do wedding plannings, so I want to feature my actual weddings. Yes. Oh my gosh, Stacy, I have concerns about putting images that I didn't plan. So, I mean, Stacy is asking, should she post just her own photos since she's just getting started out, or should she pad it with stock photos? She's a wedding planner. So she really wants to feature her actual weddings, and she has concerns about putting images in that she didn't plan. What I think is really nice about your specific industry, Stacy, is that it's very clear who your audience is and what they're into. And I think in the caption, you can make it clear like what you love about, like for your categories, like maybe one is like, you know, the flowers. And you can reshare flowers, but like make it clear that they're not yours, that like you found this like, oh, what a beautiful bouquet of, you know, lilies. These are great for spring weddings or something like that. And then maybe just like leave the credit for Unsplash so people know it's not yours. And then in your captions, making it really clear. You could even create a hashtag for like your weddings, whatever your business name is, making it really clear in there. That's just one way you could get around it. Like you have a lot of options for the different content that you could share. Okay. You guys, this was so fun. I really hope it was helpful for you. I would love to hear from you guys if there are all right, Delora asked, she's still not clear about what a story is on Instagram. Are you talking about telling bits of the same story to entice the reader to come back, or statistics? So your story, your actual content in your story, and maybe like what's getting you stuck, Delora, is like that actual word story, but it's just another way you share content on Instagram. And you can share anything in it. It doesn't have to connect to anything else. It could be statistics. I don't know why, honestly, they chose to call it a story, except that you can continue them. So I'm trying to think of the best way to like explain what a story could be, because it really can be anything. It could be statistics. It could be a snapshot of your daily life. It could be a quote. It could be a quote. Absolutely. It could be a quote. It could be a selfie. It could be a picture of the title of your, book. It's little snippets, really. Like it's just little snippets that give you a really good quick look at a brand or a business. They're really easy to consume. They're fast. They're disappearing. So, it doesn't have to be anything complicated. Let me know if that clears that up for you. Okay, cool. And if you don't, I'll make sure that like when we send a thank you email to you guys that like we include some resources in there so that you guys can like see better like what we're actually talking about. This was so fun. I'm already losing my voice. Thank you guys for hanging out. We really appreciate it. We had so much fun. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you DM us on Instagram at MeetEdgar, you will be talking to me. I'd love to chat with you. And I hope you guys come back for our next few webinars. All right. I will see you guys later.